I'd like to wish neighbors a very happy 5th anniversary.
Happy 5th anniversary, neighbors.
Happy 5th anniversary, neighbors.
Each one, teach one. Mother and father and daughter and son. We gonna learn and plus have fun. Yes, indeed, the time has come. Reach out to your neighbor, do something nice, return the favor. It's all good, we all get along. Clap your hands and sing along to the song. Young people, you ain't gotta do wrong. We can all do right, come on.
Captures on white, one mission captures on black, one mission captures on white, one mission captures on black.
Okay, we're going to start off real slow. Okay, you're going to hear me say white and black. Okay, I know that these are red, you know that they're red. But when you get your chess pieces, they're going to be white and black. Okay, we start off with a pawn because he is the easiest piece to learn. And once you learn the pawn, we're going to play it again. There are 5 rules with a pawn. 5 rules, that's all. Once you learn these 5 rules, you're ready to start. Okay? The pawn moves one step at a time. It's like a walker, like walking to school. The game we're going to play today is if you get one pawn on the other side first. 1, not 2, not 2. I like to say 2. Okay? Not 4. 1 pawn to the other side first. You win. So you've already learned 2 of the rules. 1 step at a time, and we try to get to the other side first. Okay? Now, each of your pawns, so you will have 8 of them all the way across. You go 1 or 2 on your first turn. But you can't go 2 again. You can only go 1 thereafter. Now, eventually, your pieces are going to start to run into the other hands. This is how the flow starts. Okay? This is how we capture. We don't jump over the top of it like in another game. We squash it. Okay? We land right on top of it. You have to land on top of a piece to capture a piece. Okay? Pretty simple. Okay, now, if you're coming up the board, and he's coming down the board, and you run into each other head on, he's stuck. He cannot move. He's stuck, he cannot move. Okay? So, white would have to move someone else. Black would move. We can capture. And the game continues on. Those are the 5 rules of the pawn. He moves 1 step at a time. First turn, you can go 1 or 2. Try to get your opponent in a few minutes, sir. Okay? Okay. If you run into somebody, you're stuck. It's like running into that wall. You stop real fast, okay? I did that when I was your guys' age, okay? It's not a good idea. I was playing football. I didn't know where the school building was. Okay? That's okay. Okay, now, to get to the other side, you win. And as my first person to play today, Helen, would you like to come on up and play a game with Old Rich? Stand up on that chair. Now, do you want to have white who goes first or black who goes second? Okay, I'm going to go 2 with my pawn. Your turn.
Can I have your first name?
Dennis.
Dennis, okay. Tell me all about your accomplishments.
Don't really want to brag, but
I'm actually asking you for them, so you're not bragging.
I'm a 2-time state champion for Connecticut.
Okay.
3rd grade and 4th grade.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And sometimes I've won money before.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Jeff Colquitt. I'm the publicist for the Larchmont Public Library. The library was founded in 1926, so for almost 90 years, the library has been an integral part of the community. We serve not only the village of Larchmont, but all of unincorporated Mamaroneck, and we draw patrons from New Rochelle and other parts of the surrounding community. Throughout the library's history, we've worked hard to be a centerpiece for the community.
Grade, he was the Westchester County champion in the 3rd grade and under division. He went on to lead his elementary school in the 5th grade division to the national championship. He led Mamaroneck Avenue Elementary School in White Plains. He was the 7th grade national champion. In December of this past year, he won the 10th grade national chess championship down in Florida. He's been an All-American, he's been chosen to the Scholastic All-American chess team every year since 2009. He's represented the United States at the World Youth Chess Championships in Greece. He's represented them in Brazil. He's qualified. He was chosen to represent them this past year in Slovenia. He was just notified a few weeks ago that he'll be representing the United States in September at the World Youth Chess Championships in South Africa. He's been the #1 rated player in the nation a few times as a 12-year-old and as a 14-year-old. In 2012, he entered the Susan Polgar World Youth Chess Championships in Chicago. He won that event, and by winning that event, he won a 4-year college scholarship to the nation's top chess school, which is Webster University in St. Louis. It's a scholarship valued at $96,000. Not bad for a high school freshman. So, currently he's a sophomore at the high school. What else can I tell you about Josh? In 2010, he became the youngest African-American chess master in history. And there has never been an American-born black chess grandmaster. He's hoping to become the first one. He hopes to do it before he graduates college. So, all right, we're all here to play. We're going to start with a simul. Maybe we'll get to that blind chess game we were talking about before. Josh, I told all the guys the rules for the simul, so I think they're ready to go. You want to say a few words? Okay.
My name is Josh Polis, like Ray mentioned. I'd like to thank the Larchmont community for inviting me to come here today, and I'm looking forward to play some good chess. Yeah.
Bishop to F4.
1 to E6.
Move knight to F3.
Knight to F3. Pawn to C5.
Responds E3.
E3. Pawn to D5.
Moved bishop to B5.
Knight to C6.
Castle Kingston.
Bishop to E7.
Knight to E5.
Queen to C7.
captures C6.
Queen to B6.
He brings knight to C3.
Pawn takes C6.
The bishops are next to both the king and queen and protects them by moving diagonally any number of squares, with one bishop capturing on black, the other on white. For the person in a domestic violence situation, the bishops are religious organizations and groups which can help cut across boundaries the others can't. This is their story.
Hi, my name is Pastor Jamie Howard. I am the pastor of Sowing for Souls Ministries. We're located in Yonkers, and our mission is to meet the need of our community. We plant seeds of love and kindness, sharing the love of Jesus Christ, by meeting people at their need, whether it be physical or spiritual, emotional. And so that's what we do. But today, I am here to discuss domestic violence. And that's a really huge topic. So I'm just going to touch on some things. I can't cover all things. So I want to say that domestic violence comes in various forms. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional. It could be verbal, right? Like someone putting you down all the time, or putting you down often, making you feel less, like your feelings and your thoughts don't matter. And of course, we know that we're more familiar with the physical aspect of domestic violence. Someone putting their hands on you, kicking you, those sort of things. And I also like to say that it happens to men and women, but we're more, familiar with women. More women are abused than men, or more women report it than men do. Okay, so, and we know that children are abused and the elderly are abused. So we're going to just talk around that a bit. What I like to say that no matter what you're going through, God is available to you. He's always with you. He sees it. He knows all about it, and He's here to help you. Okay, so one of the things that I'd like to discuss is I'm just going to tell a short story about a woman named Hagar. And you can find the entire story, well, a lot of the story, in Genesis 16. Now, Genesis is the first book of the Bible, and the chapter is 16, and the verses 1 and 2. And then you can read on, and it tells you the story of Abraham, his wife Sarai, and Hagar, who was a slave. She was Sarai's handmaiden. And so when Sarah found that she could not conceive, she sent Abraham at the time into her maid, right? And so therefore Hagar conceived, and she had a baby. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So the reason why I bring this up, because it's very relative to the way we live today when we talk about domestic violence. When you read the story of Hagar, you don't get a lot of backstory, because she was an Egyptian slave. It's not a whole lot said about her, but the Bible does say that she became insolent towards her mistress after she conceived. So if I do a little back, if I dig in a little bit into the history on this, I would think, well, first of all, Hagar was a handmaid, and she was very young, and she was Sarai's handmaiden alone. So that means she was very well protected. Okay, she was a virgin. In the Greek, her title is called Sipha. Okay, so she was a young woman who was a virgin, a young girl who was a virgin. And so she had no say-so in having sex with this really old guy. I mean, Abraham was old at this time. I believe in like in his 80s. And she was forced to have sex with this old man. So now we're talking about rape, right? Okay, so we know that that happens in domestic violence, right? Spousal abuse, right? And even though she wasn't married to Abraham, she was a slave and she had no control over who she had sex with, who she gave her virginity to. It wasn't given away, it was taken. And she didn't have any say-so over whether she conceived or not, if she wanted to, you know, and with whom she would conceive. Okay, so after going forward, after she conceived, she had an attitude. You know, I understand. Okay, so she had an attitude, and her mistress noticed the attitude, and she didn't like it. Okay, so she complained to her husband, and her husband said, well, it's your man, you do with her what you like. So then Sarai began to abuse Hagar, and the Bible speaks of it, describes it as brutal. Okay, so we know that, and so now she's getting probably beat up, you know, that sort of thing. It's more than verbal, right? If it's brutal, if it's harsh, that means that it's hands-on, in my book anyway. Mm-hmm. And so Hagar decided to run away. Okay, so Hagar ran away. She ran into the wilderness. Now remember, she's pregnant, and she's in the desert now. Okay, there's no water, there's no food. Everybody knows that it's very hot in the desert during the day, and it's very cold at night. And in the ancient times, even a slave without family or, you know, is unprotected, and that's a very dangerous place to be, even if she were not pregnant. So the Lord met her there. He said, Hagar, where are you going? And I'm paraphrasing. He said, Hagar, where are you going? And she said, I'm running away from my mistress. The Lord ended up telling her to go back to the situation. He said, go back to your mistress. So in reading that, I was like, why would the Lord send her back into a situation where she was being abused? Okay, but when we look at the back of the story, like historically, we'll find that by law, if the baby isn't born in the house, then he won't be an heir. Okay, so, you know, God looks at the laws, the traditions, the customs of the day. So when we're trying to understand something, we have to look at that. We can't bring our 21st century thinking into ancient times, okay? So he sent her back so she could be nurtured and she could be protected, and so she could have this baby in Abraham's house, because for those who know the story, God made Abraham a real big promise that he would bless him, that he would be the father of many nations. So this baby that Hagar was carrying was a seed of Abraham's, and he needed to be born in that house. Okay, so God sent her back. Now, while she was gone, I can only imagine that Sarai and Abraham was going crazy because their heir was gone. You know, so knowing God to be a loving and kind and just God, I would think when he sent her back, that he calmed that household down as far as the abuse goes. So maybe she had some, maybe now Sarah may have been like talking to her in a mean way or whatever. But the Bible doesn't say, but I just, knowing God for myself, I don't believe he sent her back to be beat down, you know, every day. So anyway, even though the situation was difficult, she remained there for years until finally Sarai had her own baby. And then she wanted Hagar and her baby out of the house, okay? So they were kicked out, and now they're in the desert again. And this time the Lord meets her again. And then he tells her that he shows her a well. That's opportunity, right? He shows her a well that she can get a drink and feed her baby. And I mean the boy, he wasn't a baby anymore, to give a cup of water to the boy because they were dying. Okay, and then the Lord made Hagar and her son a great nation. And those are the Arab people. Okay, so the reason this story comes to mind when we talk about domestic abuse, because Hagar experienced it. She, again, rape, violence, surrogacy. She didn't ask to even be a surrogate mom, right? And And economically, she was never supposed to be more than a slave. But God had made it so that she became a mother of a nation, basically, right? If you can read up on the Hagarites, and you find that Hagar is the mother of the Hagarites. Okay, so that it comes to mind for me because that shows what God can do when He's in a life, if we can just believe. Because what He did for Hagar, He can do for you right now, whomever it is that I'm talking to who may be experiencing domestic abuse, slavery, because it is slavery, where if you're told how to think, if you're told what to say, you know, if you're not valued as a human being, a divine person that God also made, not to walk behind anyone, but to walk beside them. You know, as a woman to be a helpmeet, as a man to be the spiritual leader of the home, the provider, the protector. You know, if that's not the dynamics of your household, then I suggest you get help. I suggest you not stay there to be abused, to continue in that way, because I see it passed down. You know, the kids do it, you know, the boys do it, the girls think it's all right, and the next thing you know, it's just a cycle that is never broken. And what God did for Hagar, when at that time there were no organizations that she could turn to. She only had God. He's more than enough, right? And today, He's still more than enough. And today, there are organizations to help people who are suffering in this way. You know, there's the National Domestic Hotline, which I'm going to give a number for at the end, because I thought I wrote it down. And but you know, somebody might say, well, I'm married, should I leave my husband, or should I leave my wife? I'm not saying to do any of that. What I'm saying is that if you're in a situation where physical violence is happening, you can separate. I believe that God has given us the freedom to leave that situation and you know, let God work it out. That husband or that wife can get help, counseling if they really want to keep the marriage together, or just work it out. But do not stay there, you know. And again, you know, when you think of Hagar, don't think of a victim, because she came out of being a victim. She came out of being a slave. And guess what? I forgot to mention that she was the only woman recorded in the Bible who gave God a name. She was able, because that's usually a patriarchal thing, and she named God El Roy, saying that you are the God who sees me. I now see the God who sees me. So God sees little you and He sees little me. He knows all about it. And even if people let you down, there is a God who cares. And if you ask Him and you trust Him, He will guide you to the help that you need, and He will set you free. Okay, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Here's the number, 800-799-7233. That's 800-799-7233. You can call them at any time, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and they will guide you to what steps you can take, how you can be safe, keep your children safe, and where you can go. Okay? And I would like to say, keep going till you get what you need. You know, so maybe you already ended up, maybe you left and you had to go back, you know, but you can go again. And you keep going till you get what you need. I believe in struggling well. We know that this life is a struggle. So I on purpose don't struggle to do bad. All right? I struggle to do well, to live better. And that's what I encourage you to do today. That's it.
This episode of Neighbors deals with the subject of domestic abuse. Our panel of 4 experts from Sanctuary for Families will discuss the options available for the victims and their families.
In teen dating violence, a lot of the same patterns exist, but of course it's a different dynamic because of the developmental
and the logistical of what makes up teen dating relationships.
Hi, I'm Julie Hyman. I own Julie Hyman PC, a firm specializing in matrimonial, trials, and appellate work.
Each one, teach one. Mother and father and daughter and son. We gonna learn and plus have fun. Yes, indeed, the time has come. Reach out to your neighbor, do something nice, return the favor. It's all good, we all get along. Clap your hands and sing along to the song. Young people, you ain't gotta do wrong. We can all do right, come on.